sense of it all, I'm now joined in studio by Mr. Yehuda Shaffer, former Deputy State Attorney. Thank you very much for coming on the show. So, who has the interest or who benefits from these clandestine contacts allegedly becoming public?
Well, I think it's the defense this time that's trying this maybe as a balloon to see how the public reacts to this. The reason I'm speculating this is because the Attorney General is about to end his term in 3 weeks. And Mandelblit, the Attorney General, has been very, has been compromising several cases. For instance, the dairy case and the Katz case. So there have been several ministers.
Wants a clean table.
He's cleaning up the table, and he's giving quite generous plea bargains in both these cases I mentioned, both the dairy case and the Katz case. So I think any professional attorney representing Netanyahu would actually try this. Not that there's much of a chance, and I can explain why, but because we know we have three cases against Netanyahu: 1,000, 2,000, 4,000. I think we can clearly say that 1,000, which is about the gifts, is going for a conviction. We can speculate that. 2,000, we still don't know enough, and 4,000 will be bouncing for several months between a conviction of a bribery and conviction of a breach of trust, which is a much lesser felony. Okay. So I'm assuming the deal would be to plea for breach of trust instead of for bribery. And that I think both sides can agree on, maybe. The problem is, and the reason that there's no deal, I'm speculating.
Yeah, all speculation important to stress,
is because of this element, which is in Israeli law, which is called kalon, which literally means disgrace, but de facto means disqualification for a minimum of 7 years for any political office. And it's clear that the prosecution, the Attorney General, will never agree to any deal, even if it doesn't have any jail term or low jail term, but will never agree to a deal that will not have this element of kalon, of disqualification. On the other hand, Netanyahu, we know, is a very strong political figure. I don't think he thinks he's going anywhere, and I don't think he can agree to such a deal. My personal view actually is against. Plea bargains are very common in Israel. And,
so this is exactly leads us to my next question. Until what time of the trial can a plea bargain be scored, rather, or even negotiated?
Plea bargains can be negotiated and can be scored, as you said, till the very end. We saw this in the Ulmer trial when Shula Zaken turned against him and pled guilty, and then testified against him, and that was as her verdict was being given, in the days that her verdict was actually being given, at the very last moment of the game. So this can be done to the very last moment, and plea bargains are very common in Israel. They save judicial time, and they're an efficient way of performing of justice. But my personal view in this case, I don't think it would be wise to go for a plea bargain.
From the state prosecutor's standpoint?
From both sides, from the public interest side, because I'm commenting here as part of as my view on the public interest, because this trial has become so political, and because so many people really believe that this is a political attempt by the prosecution to bring Netanyahu down, which is, of course, in my opinion, total nonsense. I served in the prosecution. I totally don't believe that. But because so many people do believe that, and because there is such distrust of the system, I think we need this trial to actually end with a finding, with findings of what happened, who's going to be convicted of what, and which will probably then go to appeal, whatever. But we need a judicial end to this story. Any plea bargain would be considered, and is already considered, as something which is playing politics. Because if I've heard today commentary saying that the fact that you're demanding this kalon, the fact that the prosecution is demanding this disgrace, which is actually de facto moving him out of politics, shows that your motives are
no matter
wrong.
What the verdict or the end of it will be, it will leave at least 50% of Israelis unsatisfied with the result. That's for sure.
I think if there's a verdict, if there's a deal, yes, that the conflict will begin. If there's a verdict on what was proven to the court, I think people have trust in the court. even though we have to see
yes,
how
and
that will turn
unfortunately we
out.
don't have much time, sir. So before we let you go, speaking of proof, a very anticipated testimony concluded a short time ago by Netanyahu, former Netanyahu confidant turned state witness, Nir Chefetz. Prosecution was hoping for a smoking gun, not necessarily achieved.
No, Nir Chefetz is a classic state witness. He's part of the conspiracy itself. He was in there dealing and whining and wheeling and dealing these criminal dealings as the prosecution claims. He claims not to have thought he had done anything wrong. He said many things which were damaging to the prosecution, but all in all, I think he brought quite a bit into the case because he brought Netanyahu's awareness of the fact that Alowitz, the tycoon who was bribing, was needing him for regulatory issues, and he brought Netanyahu's awareness of all the requests given to Alowitz with regard to the Walla website, etc., which is the case the prosecution has to prove in this case. So he did bring to the table a lot about Netanyahu's awareness to issues, but he had many things he said, I'm sure, were not what the prosecution was hoping he would say, perhaps.
And many also problems with the mere investigation of Chafetz himself. So, bottom line, Yehuda Shaffer, will be seeing much more of you in the months, perhaps years to come. Thank you, former deputy of the State Attorney. Thank you very much for your time.